It's the Fisherman's Catch Coaches Show on Eagle Country 103.9. Each week, we preview and review all the stories in Ilwaco High School athletics. Now let's take the field, tee up, hit the mat, and settle into the starting blocks for the Fisherman's Catch Coaches Show on Eagle Country 103.9.
Good evening and welcome to the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. It's brought to you in part each week by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. I'm Sean O'Connor in the office of Kevin McNulty, the Ilwaco High School Athletic Director, and he's also the head football coach here at Ilwaco High School. And we're pretty much wrapping up the fall season here of Fisherman Sports. We have the Fisherman Football Playoffs to talk about, and also get the results from the cross-country team and how they did at the state meet this past weekend. But, Coach, as always, we'll start by talking about the football team. And they had another great Friday night, taking down the Toutle Lake Ducks for the second time this year. 28-6, pretty convincing win. Defense playing pretty well again. So let's just get your thoughts on this big first-round playoff win.
Well, it was great. Our seniors, at the end of the season last year when we played Napa Vine, they looked each other in the eye and they set a goal. And their goal was to win that crossover playoff game a year from that point, which happened to be this past week, and put themselves in that situation to get into the state bracket. They worked hard. They've done so. They've accomplished that goal. Now it's time to, readjust and set a new goal.
So getting the win over Toutle Lake, a team that you were already very familiar with by playing them once in the regular season. So with this game on Friday, did you have any surprises in this game?
We, like they, had an opportunity to play one another, so we know each other's strengths, kind of. We were able to do some things and take advantage, we felt, kind of go at them in some areas that we thought we could move the football, and we were able to do so. And then defensively, we played another solid game. Last time we played them, we gave up a couple touchdowns. This time we gave up one, and it was right at the end of the half, actually. We were ahead 14-0, and they have a new young quarterback that splits time, and he was able to break down our defense on a pass and do what he does best, which is run the football. And he's fast, and he is able to get a nice gain down to the 2-yard line, and they eventually punched it in, which changed the momentum a little bit. Not something you like to do or have done to you as a coach. So we were ahead 14-6. We did stop the conversion and had the ball with 20 seconds to go, 21 seconds, and got it at midfield. They attempted onside, and we ran a couple plays and called a timeout. And we were able to bust one as time expired, 48-yard run on a draw. And our running back got it inside the 1 and was tackled there as time expired. So that was one of those, just the game of inches. In this case, a game of a couple feet. We would have liked to have had that happen and get that across the goal line right at the end. But it was a heck of a run by Brandon McMullen, and it was a 48-yard scamper, and he did a nice job of reading blocks and setting things up. And open up the second half, we were receiving the kickoff and put a nice long drive together and went down and scored, and then held them out and kept them from moving the ball. And we were able to get another score in the fourth quarter. We had a couple opportunities that I felt like we left out there on the field that were scoring opportunities, just near misses. And, we would like to have had those. But again, hopefully we get to take advantage of those down the road and we don't leave points out there. Just, we had a kind of a gadget play, if you will, that was just off the fingertips of our receiver. That was an opportunity. We had another one right in the hands, and it was dropped. But all in all, I felt like we played solid. We were able to move the ball on the ground. Brandon McMullen had 16 carries, 101 yards.
Nice.
Alec Bell had 14 for 69, and I believe 3 touchdowns. So he's a guy, you get down next to the goal line, you get it to him. Jack O'Neill only had 5 carries, but he also had 69 yards. And passing, Jack was 7 for 11 for 98 yards. Not a lot of passing, but once we got the lead, we kind of wanted that clock to work in our favor. We threw enough to keep them off balance. And receiving, Jeb Sheldon led us on catches with 2 for 24. Alex Kino had 2 for 17. Brandon McMullen on a screenplay had 1 for 35. And Tennyson Ramsey had a nice catch early in the game that was a critical down and distance. And then Ethan Bannister. So that's kind of offensively. Defensively, our kids continue to improve. We had a good game plan. We were impressed with their running back. He did a nice job. In fact, that kid gets more yards after contact than probably anybody we've played. He just keeps his legs pumping and did a nice job. We were trying to really pop him in the first half. Our kids were not wrapping at all. They're getting good contact, but he was like a weeble wobble, and he kept moving and kept bouncing and continued running downfield. Coach Enos had our kids, he had them dialed in. They were in the right positions. He had the right call for the right offensive set, etc. But we didn't always wrap up. So they were getting some yards that probably we would rather that they not. Second half, we discussed it at halftime, and the fact that we had arms and we could use them, get a hold of cloth and hang on, and help is coming. And we did a much better job the second half. Defensively, again, we were in the correct spots. This time we were tackling them for little to no gain. And we really negated what they did, and we were able to do what we do. So, all in all, we had, around 350 yards again, offensive. And again, we got an onside kick. And then another one it was an onside kick. The kid picked it up and started running and just lost the football. And so we ended up with 2 of them. We stole 2 possessions from them, and that's key. We've had 11 onside kick recoveries in the last 6 games. And
wow.
that really helps you out.
Yeah.
It helps out your defense, keeping them off the field. Certainly helps out your offense because you get more time of possession.
Yeah.
And, like we tell our kids, we need to have those. It makes things a lot easier for the play callers when you can see your series working, and it's like chess pieces, and I move here and they do that, and so we'll go here with this or what have you. And when we get out there and have 3 and out, it's really difficult to call plays when you have, unless you're, of course, scoring in those 3 plays. Mm-hmm. But we were able to put series of plays together, and things are going well.
Yeah, things went really well. Big win for the Fisherman football team over Toutle Lake, 28-6. And we'll take a time out here in the Fisherman's Catch and come back and talk some more about this win and look ahead to the next opponent. It's going to be a big one. You're listening to the Fisherman's Catch, brought to you in part by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park on Eagle Country 103.9. And welcome back to the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. Brought to you in part each week by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. Talking to Kevin McNulty, the Ilwaco High School Athletic Director, about Fisherman football. And later on in the show, we'll talk about the cross-country team. The football team just got a big playoff win over Toutle Lake at Peterson Field on Friday. And so they're moving on here, going to be playing in the next round. They played Toutle Lake twice this year. And I'm just kind of curious, in this playoff setting, did they do anything new to try to surprise you and maybe change up their plan from last meeting?
They didn't play-wise. They did personnel-wise, and had some different kids. The kid that played some quarterback for them was a kid that we hadn't faced earlier in the year.
Oh, wow.
And so, and the same for us. I mean, we didn't have Alec Bell. We didn't have Ryan Shank.
That's
the
true.
First time we played them, so we had those guys this time. But yeah, that was it. Basically, they ran what they ran. I'd like to think that we tweaked some things, gave them some different things to look at, but they pretty much stuck with what they do.
So was it difficult for your defense to kind of game plan for someone they hadn't seen before?
Well, we had played Tootle earlier, so they had a pretty good idea. We were just trying to keep them down in distance wise. In a situation, they're not a real passing team. They like to run the ball and get it to the big kid, and that was the biggest change probably, is they put a young kid in at quarterback, and he rolled out to pass, but I don't know that he is really looking to throw the ball as much as he was to break you down and run it, and he was dangerous. So that, for our defense, that was about the only thing that we really had to worry about. Personnel-wise, they had a couple linemen that we know they like to run behind, and so we were prepared and ready for that.
Yeah, defense did a great job holding Tootle Lake to just 6 points on Friday. What was the big thing that you took away from this game, and as far as what your team has done so far this year? Was there anything from the team's performance that maybe surprised you a little bit?
Well, overall, and you like to see this, we continue to improve. And, here we are, just finished week 10 of games. So we've been in this about 13 weeks, and our kids are still improving. We see our line improving dramatically, and I don't know if the season will be long enough for us, because our kids are really, truly improving, and that's fun to see. And now we've got another huge test in front of us this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, you face a really good Toledo team this coming Saturday, it turns out. But this is going to be on a neutral field here. It's a little bit different from the first round. Going to be in Centralia for this game. So just talk about Toledo a little bit, what you're expecting from them as a quality opponent, and then what it's going to be like playing on a neutral field.
Well, Toledo is a fine football program, and we played them week 2 of the season. Ironically, we played Tootle. We ended up coming back. That was a non-league game, and Toledo was a non-league game. And how ironic that we end up playing both of them again in postseason. But that's the way it is. And I guess that can also bode well for you. The thing I was most nervous about last week is that our kids taking it for granted, since we had already beat Tootle Lake, that I hope there wasn't a lapse and a sense of overconfidence going into the game. And you don't know that till the game gets going. Well, now we get to experience the exact opposite. And Toledo beat us 42-13 at their place in a game in which we didn't play real well. But 42-13 sounds horrific. It was 14-7 with a little over a minute to go in the second quarter. And they ended up scoring, making it 21-7 halftime. Then in the second half, we kicked off to them. They went down, marched down, scored, making it 28-7, and then kicked an onside kick, and they recovered, the only one we've given up this year. And they ended up advancing that into the end zone, making it 35-7, and kind of the wheels fell off a little bit there in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Our first offensive series of the third quarter, we lost Alec Bell with a pulled hamstring. So that was a bad sequence, a bad run of events. And Toledo, yes, they're a fine football team. They're 10-0, undefeated, ranked number 2 in the state. So we know what we're up against. The biggest thing, not at the high school level, at any level, is going in and being confident. We have an opportunity. We feel that we've improved dramatically. We're doing some things differently on offense and defense from what we did week 2. And some of that was necessitated by Alec becoming injured. We had to develop some other people. We changed some offensive sets. We've stuck with those. They benefit us the most. We had to change some defensive personnel. We found some other kids. It's not often that you take your quarterback and move him into a linebacker position, especially when he's 5'8", 155, 60 pounds. We've done that. There's a fear, but also we know that it's worked. And, we feel like we're better defensively than we were. And we know what they're worth, and they're a good football team. We're going to have to play well. We're going to be playing on the turf. And so weather elements, at least the mud, shouldn't be a factor. But they're a fine team, and we're looking forward to it. I'm truly excited. It's Saturday, 4 o'clock at Centralia. And to see just how far, what different things we can do than we did second week of season, to throw some new wrinkles at them. And, they've got a quarterback that's a 6'3", 230-pound kid. And when things break down, he's running, and he's a run right over the top. He's a big physical kid. He's a good football player. He's a very good wrestler. And he's got that attitude. And when he's playing quarterback, he doesn't mind trucking you if he can. If you get in his way, he's not above lowering his shoulder and freight training you. So those things are things that we have to certainly be aware of.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, it sounds like, that seeks contact. So it's going to be a good challenge for the Fisherman football team coming up here on Saturday. We'll take another time out here in the Fisherman's Catch and come back with some final football thoughts and then talk a little cross country before we end the show. This is the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. And welcome back to the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. It's brought to you in part each week by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. Talking to Kevin McNulty, the Ilwaco High School Athletic Director, on all things Fisherman Fall sports. And we've been talking about the Fisherman football team this show so far. Coach, going to be taking on Toledo here on Saturday afternoon, trying to advance here in the playoffs. Going back to how you had some injuries earlier in the season, that really gave you a chance to see what kind of depth that you have for your football team. So I got to believe that that's going to play a big part coming into this next game with Toledo, because that really gives you a chance to throw in, as you said, some new wrinkles to try to take down this Toledo team.
And we will have to throw some new wrinkles. One of the things that Toledo does is they're tough line-wise. Their offensive and defensive line, they're big, square-bodied kids. The Yoder kid plays an outside linebacker. Like I say, he's 6'3", 230. Their other outside linebacker is a 6'5", 200-pound kid. And probably the area that we exploited the most in game one was we did throw the ball, and we were 20 for 26 against them. And Jack had a couple touchdown passes. And going back and looking at the film, looking at some of the films that they've played against Adna, where they beat Adna by a point and they beat Kalama by 6, seeing some of the things that they were able to do to Toledo to slow them down or make it a closer ball game. So we have some ideas. We're going to have to play well. We know that. But, it is the playoffs, and anything can happen, as Adna would tell you. Adna played Raymond the other night on Saturday night, and Raymond was our number 3 out of the Coastal Division, playing the number 2 out of the Mountain Division, which in that division is Napavine, number 1 ranked team in the state, and then Adna was second. And Raymond ended up beating them on a last-second field goal. But the reason I bring that up is Adna had 9 fumbles in that football game.
Wow.
Very uncharacteristic of...
Did they lose all 9?
They lost them. And
so,
and it was still, they were ahead, 14-13 with that, with the 8 fumbles. The last one occurred with 1:47 seconds going in the game, and they fumbled the ball, and Raymond doubled their yardage on that one drive.
Wow.
Because they had held Raymond in check. And so anything can happen at this point. Mm-hmm. I think kids have to believe, and they have to have confidence, and we have to have a good week of practice. We have to be focused. Mm-hmm. And, yes, they may be undefeated, but we're not playing this thing on paper. We're playing it on turf, and we're playing on Saturday, and we're looking forward to it, see how much we've improved. And one thing I do know is that our kids will go out and give it their best effort, and so will our coaches. And then, whatever happens from that point on, we want to be able to walk off and look ourselves in the face and say, hey, I give it my best effort. And I believe we have a chance. That's all you can ask for. All we want to do is be in the game in the fourth quarter with an opportunity. And if we end up there, that'll be an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, that'd be a really big accomplishment. Going into this game, how do you feel about your team's confidence and where their confidence level is at?
Well, I think they're going to continue to grow throughout the week. I think right now, they know, obviously we've played them earlier in the season, and I'm sure there's some question marks up there. But I think once we start going through and continue going over film with kids and getting into practice and pointing out some areas that we think we can take advantage of, that they're going to gain confidence. And obviously there's going to be excitement build throughout the week, not only with our football team, but with the student body, with our community, etc. It's a state playoff game. It's an opportunity for our kids to do something that hasn't been done at Ilwaco in a long time. That was the first crossover game that we've hosted. Is we won. They accomplished the goal. The biggest concern is readjusting and making a new goal. And that's something we can't just sit on and say, oh, we accomplished our goal, we're done now. And so we're going to work on that this week and getting our minds in the right spot. And, hey, practice is going to end a little bit earlier because we'll be out there in the dark otherwise.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun atmosphere for both teams. In Centralia on Saturday afternoon, Toledo and Ilwaco. And let's get into the cross-country team. They just had a really important performance here at the state meet this past weekend.
We're our cross-country team. We ended up taking full boys and full girls team. Great experience. Lots of young kids. I believe we had 12 freshmen over there. So it bodes well for in the future. On our girls cross-country team, we are in 6th place overall. Our leading runner was Eliza Bannister, a junior. She is 33rd. And then followed by Estella Sheldon, and she is 48th, and she is a freshman. Followed by Caitlin Weldon, who is also a freshman, and she is in 56th. Alex Carper, you got it, freshman, 61. Carolyn Mendez, 69th, and she's a freshman. Dominic Bittner, 71st, and she is a freshman as well.
Wow.
And Isabel Beninati was 72nd, and she is a senior. So you can see that our girls cross-country team, there's excitement in the air. They got a 6th place. They're looking to get into the hardware next year. Just an outstanding season. On the boys' side, our boys were 11th, and Ben Brownlee was 44th place. He's a junior. Daniel Whiting was in 57th, and he's a freshman. Another freshman, 69th place, Tristan Trudell. And then Marcos Mendoza was in 79th place, and Marcos is a senior. 130th was Cody Lowe, followed by John Glenn and Adam Rutherford. So on both sides, we're young, and we look forward to great things happening. Great season all around. Coach Taylor's ecstatic and returns, obviously, a large portion of her team, and we look forward to continued success on a cross-country team.
Wow, yeah, just really nice performances all around by this young cross-country team, and congratulations on all their accomplishments at the state meet. Coach, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
Well, I just have a shout-out to Rod Anderson once again this week. He's still recovering. We're looking forward to getting him back and healthy. He's our announcer, as you well know, and does fisherman games, any sport. It doesn't matter. We could be playing tiddlywinks and he'd come announce it. So he's a guy that we've counted on for a long time, and we miss him in the football. He's done our stats for several years and announcing. So Rod, I know you're probably listening. Shout out to you, and we're wishing you a speedy recovery.
All right, that's going to do it for the Fisherman's Catch this week, brought to you in part by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. And this show is also now available on our YouTube podcast archive. You'll find it at Ohana Coaches Shows on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Well, that's going to do it for this week on the Fisherman's Catch. We'll meet you back here next Wednesday night at 6 on Eagle Country 103.9.
This has been the Fisherman's Catch Coaches Show on Eagle Country 103.9. Join us each week during the school year at 6 p.m. Wednesdays as we take a closer look at Ilwaco High School athletics on Eagle Country 103.9.